Pondering if you're pure deep down or a born sinner? Today, I'll answer the question of what is our true nature by drawing on Buddhist principles and psychology. Hey guys, welcome to Buddha Psych. I'm Dr. Vaughn, and this is the psychology of self and our Buddha nature. Psychology, spirituality, and the struggle. We define psychology as the study of the mind. But what about spirituality? Spirituality does not necessarily require religion, but may be more personal and exploratory, centering around emotion and self-actualization, or fulfillment of your highest potential. For example, Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Auschwitz concentration camp, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning about the existential struggle of existence. As a prisoner in a death camp, all was stripped away and what was left. What drove him to continue to survive? The more one forgets himself, by giving himself to a cause, to serve, or another person to love, the more human he is and the more he actualizes himself. Self-actualization is possible only as a side effect of self-transcendence. Man's main concern is not to gain pleasure or to avoid pain, but rather to see a meaning in his life. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms. Choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances to choose one's own way. What is this meaning or purpose? One might say that the aspiration to achieve that spiritual potential or peak, self-actualization, is similar to the psychological parallels of humanistic or positive psychology. Humanistic psychology focuses on the idea of self-actualization or achieving our true potential. All the Buddhas, including Grandmaster Lu of the True Buddha School, and even Jesus, are self-actualized people. But do you have to only be spiritually self-actualized, or are there other purposes for man? David Suzuki helped to bring climate change awareness. Martin Luther King emphasized human rights and freedoms for the people of all ethnicities, and Mahatma Gandhi, Harriet Tubman, and Mother Teresa could all be considered self-actualized and fulfilled their true purpose in life, or perhaps fulfilling their true self, Buddha nature. But what is our nature? Born to sin or born as our true selves? Christianity would state that humans are born sinners and that God and the devil are external forces that represent good and evil. However, in Buddhism and Taoism, we consider sentient beings to be born as our true self with a Buddha nature, and that good and evil reside within ourselves, the idea of yin and yang. As we experience life and suffering, our true nature becomes clouded and covered. What is the goal of Buddhist cultivation? To uncover our true self through repentance of our wrongdoings, thereby transforming our negative karma. Would this not be similar to self-actualization? In support of the concept of our true self, studies by Paul Bloom at Yale show that even babies have this innate sense of morality where they choose helpful characters over unhelpful characters.
So I'll show you. Imagine yourself as a baby, and this is what you'd see in one of our studies. And then we would show you different videos. We'd show you a video like this, and a video like this. And if you were a baby, what you would probably do is you would do what you find in our experiment. For both 9-month-olds and 12-month-olds, they would look longer when the character approached the one that hindered it than the one that helped it. And for a baby, babies look longer at scenes that surprise them, that don't make any sense to them.
And studies by Frans de Waal found that even animals show characteristics of morality.
In this case, we put two chimpanzees side by side, and one has a bucket full of tokens, and the tokens have different meanings. One kind of token feeds only the partner who chooses, the other one feeds both of them. So this is a study we did with Vicky Horner. And here you have the two color tokens. So they have a whole bucket full of them, and they have to pick one of the two colors. You will see how that goes. So if this chimp makes the selfish choice, which is the red token in this case, he needs to give it to us. We pick it up. We put it on a table where there's 2 food rewards, but in this case only the one on the right gets food and the one on the left walks away because she knows already that this is not a good test for her. And then the next one is the pro-social token. So the one who makes the choices, that's the interesting part here. For the one who makes the choices, it doesn't really matter. So she gives us now a pro-social token and both chimps get fed. So the one who makes the choices always get a reward. So it doesn't matter whatsoever, and she should actually be choosing blindly. But what we find is that they prefer the pro-social token. So this is the 50% line, that's the random expectation. And especially if the partner draws attention to itself, they choose more. And if the partner puts pressure on them, so if the partner starts spitting water and intimidating them, then the choices go down and they actually don't want to... It's as if they're saying, if you're not behaving, I'm not going to be pro-social today. And this is what happens without a partner, when there's no partner sitting there. And so we found that the chimpanzees do care about the well-being of somebody else, especially these are other members of their own group.
Self-actualization and cultivation. Founders of humanistic psychology focusing on self-actualization included Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. Abraham Maslow theorized that we must achieve security in our psychological and physiological needs before we can achieve self-actualization in our true self. We even find it difficult to meditate if we are slightly hungry, cold, thirsty, or sleepy. Carl Rogers recommended the type of therapy that used the person-centered approach. Rogers emphasized that everything revolved around the concept of self, similar to Sigmund Freud's concept of the ego. When your ideal self, who you want to be, matched your real self, who you are, then that would lead to self-actualization. That ideal self is often based on our true self or Buddha nature, and when people succumb to their worldly attachments and desires, it separates their real self from their ideal self, leading to low self-esteem, feelings of unworthiness and sadness. But how do we make our real self congruent with our ideal self? One might argue through cultivation we can unify them. The methods of reaching our Buddha nature are well documented in Grandmaster Lu's teaching. Personally, all I can say is that my experience with daily cultivation using the True Buddha School's 4 preliminaries practice has brought me closer to my own true self and true nature. That cultivation provided more insight into my own purpose and meaning. If you want to learn more about Buddhist cultivation, Buddhism more broadly, and psychology, then be sure to subscribe to Buddha Psych and hit the bell icon for notifications when new videos drop. Bye guys!